Linda, are we on? Okay. All right, Paul, Paul's taking his time. Hey, Kelly.
No worries.
How are you?
Good evening, please rise. Hand over your heart. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing and join the board in a moment of silence as we honor our veterans, our first responders, and our active military. Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This evening, we have two brief hearings that will then be followed by a work session. So I'll ask Clerk Rivera to please call the items.
Proposed local law repealing Chapter 470 of the Municipal Code of the Incorporated Village of Mineola entitled Taxation, Article 6, entitled Exemption for Volunteer Firefighters and Ambulance Workers, and adopting in its place a new Article 6 to be entitled Exemption for Volunteer Firefighters and Ambulance Workers pursuant to Section 466A of the Real Property Tax Law.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Gibbons?
Yes, Mayor. Mayor, the Village of Mineola has had on its books for many years a 10% property tax exemption for volunteer firefighters. New York State recently took a survey of all the laws allowing for that exemption, and they took notice of the fact that it only applied to 30 counties and was not statewide. Therefore, they enacted recently Real Property Tax Law Section 46A, which allows for the 10% exemption. It is now statewide, and it is now uniform among all counties. And they've asked all municipalities that wish to opt in, do so by December 9th, 2025. So that local law is on for tonight. If adopted by this board, there will be no change in the status of the firefighters receiving the 10% exemption. The only change in this law from our prior law is the volunteer firefighter will have to serve for 2 years rather than 5 years to earn the exemption.
Okay, thank you. And again, as Mr. Gibbons mentioned, this is something that we already were doing, but now this just kind of brings us into this envelope that the state has adopted, and the 2-year time frame makes it consistent with the county. The county has a 2-year time frame, so just to be consistent, we're asking to adopt this local law that will also reflect that 2-year time period of a member in good standing in order to qualify for the 10% tax exemption for village taxes. Does anyone have any questions? No. No? I'll entertain a motion to approve the local law.
Motion.
Motion by Deputy Mayor Sartori. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Trustee Clark. Mr. Rivera, please poll the board.
Trustee Clark. Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sartori.
Yes.
Trustee Casado.
Yes.
Trustee Salaski.
Yes.
Mayor Rivera.
Yes.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Mr. Rivera, please call the second item.
Proposed local law amending the Municipal Code of the Incorporated Village of Mineola, Chapter 550, entitled Zoning, to create Chapter 550, Attachment 3, Schedule of Regulations, entitled Gross Floor Area.
Thank you. And for this, I'm going to ask Mr. O'Keefe to please come up and give us a brief presentation on this proposed local law that will amend our code.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
So this proposed local law introduces gross floor area calculations into the village code. A GFA calculation is common in most municipal codes, and it has the effect of limiting the size of homes on a particular lot. In the last few years, the village residents have expressed concerns about the construction of disproportionately large homes, often described as box-like, that appear out of character to the surrounding homes. At present, we have restrictions having to do with heights and setbacks, building coverage, and the like. Introducing a GFA restriction is another tool for the village to use to help ensure that homes are appropriate for the neighborhood and a particular lot. To help illustrate how GFA limit would work in practice, I selected multiple lots and applied the proposed calculation. I selected these particular properties because they were all constructed within the past 2 years under the current Mineola zoning ordinance. Each represents a different lot size, which allows us to clearly demonstrate how new construction is currently maximizing lot coverage. Under the existing code, there are no restrictions on the allowable square footage of the second floor, enabling developers and homeowners to build homes that may significantly exceed the scale of neighboring properties. While I understand we do not want to unnecessarily limit the future development in the village, I believe incorporating GFA standards into our code would be a valuable addition. It would help address concerns from the residents living adjacent to new construction who often feel overwhelmed by the scale of these new homes. Moreover, a GFA requirement could encourage more thoughtful design that better fits the character of the surrounding neighborhood.
Okay, thank you. And this is, so GFA stands for gross floor area. Under the current code, the only restriction that we had, other in terms of coverage, in terms of living space, was 40% of lot coverage. So if you had a 50 by 100 lot, you would essentially be allowed 2,000 square feet, correct?
Right.
Yeah, you'd be allowed, yeah,
Yes.
4, right, yeah. And then you would be able to put the second floor essentially as big as the first floor
You could
because
match it,
you're just covering the 40%. So technically, you could be permitted to build a 4,000 square foot home on a 5,000 square foot lot,
Exactly.
right? Because you could put one floor, 2,000 on top of another floor. What GFA does, it converts that to 50% of lot coverage, but you wouldn't be able to double, you know, the first floor and just mimic it on the second floor. So it would significantly reduce the square footage, at least on the second floor, if not the entire house. And although here in this board, we traditionally do not hear these applications, you know, so they are either through the building department, and if they require variances, they would go through the Board of Zoning and Appeals. But we as a board feel strongly that we should move in this direction. We have heard that residents have expressed concerns for some homes that have been built that perhaps, as Mr. O'Keefe mentioned, are not in keeping with the character of the neighborhood, and we feel that this is a step in that direction. It's a significant step, and it does give Mr. O'Keefe and it does give the BZA direction on the types of permits that we would approve.
Yeah, perfect example. I mean, so even if you took advantage of the footprint on a 4,000 square foot lot, so even if you did 1,800 square feet, then your only allowable square footage on the second floor is 200 square feet. So it's gonna force the designer to design properly within the footprint with the allowable gross floor area. So,
And what this also allows for is those residents who are fortunate enough to have bigger lots, then obviously they have bigger tolerances or larger tolerances, and we don't want to go so far as to handicap residents who perhaps want to put a dormer on their house or want to expand in a way as their family grows that would handicap. We understand that many homes that were built 70, 80, 90 years ago were capes, but you know, we also have to acknowledge that homes have changed and families have changed, and the way that people use their home has changed. So we want to balance, you know, provide a balance where whether it's homeowners or developers who come in do have an opportunity to improve properties, to improve homes, but at the same time balancing, you know, the aesthetics of the neighborhood and keeping it in line with what we are customarily accustomed to. Now, it doesn't change the homes that have already been built under the previous, code, but this would certainly change significantly future allowable building. Of course, homeowners, developers can always seek relief, and they can always ask for variances. That's why the BZA exists. But this will be the code as of right going forward.
Yes.
If the board agrees with me. Deputy Mayor?
I want to thank you, Liam. I know that we've been requesting you to research this for a while, so thank you for helping us come to this conclusion. And this tool, I think, is going to be a very good revision to our code to kind of maintain the scale and character of our community. I think it's something that all of our residents have been kind of looking for. So it's now going to be a black and white rule and code that will help us to really maintain the character of our neighborhood. So thank you for your help with this.
Of course, of course.
Mr. Casado?
Thank you, Mayor. You know, I want to echo your remarks. You know, we do have homes that don't fit our neighborhoods, but this will provide a great guideline to make things maybe a little better.
Yeah, design it closer to what's adjacent to them, yeah.
And frankly, if I may, we as a board, this restriction, this, ordinance has been on the books forever, as long as I've been here. And it wasn't an issue until it became an issue. And as we have seen, not just here in Mineola, but everywhere, that people have been pushing the envelope, and this is something that then obviously came to the attention of this board, of this building department, of our residents, and we acted as swiftly as possible to get this done, get it done right, research it. I know that Mr. O'Keefe looked at neighboring municipalities, town of Worcester Bay, town of North Hempstead, and other towns that what they do. And we think that this is, if we need to revisit this later on down the line, or another board wants to revisit it down the line, they certainly can, and make it more restrictive. That's
Sure.
completely up to them. But this certainly, kind of brings down that building envelope, if you will.
Sure, yeah,
Trustee
first
Clark?
steps.
I agree. I think it's a nice amendment to the code, and I think it will accomplish what we're looking to do. Nice job.
Yeah, thank you.
Trustee Salaski?
I just want to say thank you for the work that you put in, because you did do a lot of work to show us everything that this incorporated, so thank you.
Of course, absolutely. I want to make it clear.
Okay, and there are other provisions here that I believe has to do with basement as well, right?
Basement heights, anything
Right.
8 feet or greater in a basement will be concluded. Attached garage will be concluded.
Right.
Anything over a 400 square foot detached garage will be included,
Right.
which is rare to have that size of garage
Right.
anyway, but
So we're trying to, close any loopholes as well,
Yes.
because obviously, so the gross floor area would also include basements that are over 8 feet, attached garages, or garages over 400
yeah,
square
a
feet.
handful of other things, but
Yeah.
again, nothing that's.
But the important part here is the 50% of the lot
Yeah.
is what they will be allowed to build,
Absolutely.
as opposed to the 40% lot coverage with, the potential of putting up some homes that we've seen. Anything else, Mr. O'Keefe?
No, that's it. And if any homeowners have any questions on the new law and how it's going to affect their future development, I'm happy to discuss it, so.
Just to clarify for the public, this doesn't just affect new homes that are being built from ground up. This affects if you want to add on to your existing home.
Yes, absolutely, yes.
So
it-
like I
it'll
personally
affect
did that in my own
additions.
home. I added a small piece to my home. So if you want an addition, this law comes into play.
It will take the existing GFA from the home and apply it to what's proposed, yes.
Right, so this is not just for new construction, but again, and that's why we had to measure carefully, because again, we don't want to handicap residents that want to improve their property, that want to put a second floor extension or a dormer or something like that. We wanted to obviously be fair, but at the same time to avoid, because we would continue to see more and more of these homes.
But maxing out the square
Yeah.
footage that they can get for the lot.
And we understand why homeowners would want to do that,
Sure.
why developers want to do that. Obviously, homes are sold according to square foot usually, so you want to maximize that, but we also understand that we want to balance that with residents' quality of life character and the history of the neighborhood.
Right.
Okay? I'll entertain a motion to approve the proposed local law.
Motion.
Motion by trustee Casado, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by deputy mayor Sartori. Mr. Rivera, please pull the board.
Trustee Clark.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sartori.
Yes.
Trustee Casado.
Yes.
Trustee Salosky.
Yes.
Mayor Ferrera.
Yes. Okay, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion.
Motion by trustee Clark, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Salosky, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, motion carries. Okay, we're gonna go right into our work session.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. O'Keefe. I'll entertain a motion for approval of bills and payroll.
Motion.
Motion by trustee Casado, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Clark, all in favor? Any opposed, motion carries. Nobody was gonna get paid there for a second.
Yeah, right. Anybody?
Okay, Mr. Rivera.
Resolved to approve a request by J&S Catering to issue a permit to operate a catering truck in the Village of Mineola along specified routes Mondays through Fridays.
Okay, this is our annual request. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Motion.
Motion by trustee Salosky, seconded by deputy mayor Sartori, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, motion carries.
Thank you.
That's it, all
That's
right. Mr. Palumbo?
Good evening.
Good evening.
First, I have a request resolution authorizing the removal of a handicap reserved parking sign in space in front of 218 Lincoln Avenue.
Okay, normally we get requests to place handicap spots, but from time to time, people sell homes, or unfortunately, the person who needs it no longer needs it because they may have been moved somewhere else. So we obviously want to put that back into our stock of parking. So this resident requested the removal of that handicap spot and provided reasoning for it. So I would entertain a motion to authorize the removal of the handicap reserved spot.
Motion.
Motion by trustee Clark, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Salosky, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
And one other item, request resolution authorizing $1 an hour increase for Highway Division employee Dylan Savarese for passing the National Certified Pool and Spa Operator Certification. And we use the certified operators to maintain our pool.
Okay, right, so he's gonna be in the pump house, is that?
He'll be in the pump house doing the waters and the pumps and all that.
Okay, so most pool season, about a month
Yes.
away. I think exactly a month.
Yeah.
You guys ready?
We're getting there. We started today.
Okay.
We were in there today getting everything,
Well, you didn't need to fill the pool. you know.
Yeah.
yeah, with all this rain, it's probably overfilling.
Yeah.
I'll entertain a motion to approve the $1 increase.
Motion.
Motion by deputy mayor Sartori, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Clark, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
That's it. Have a good night.
Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Gibbons?
Yes, Mayor. Last month, the board heard an application at 176 Jericho to convert retail space to apartments and to add a second floor of apartments. Today, Nassau County Planning Commission came back with a local determination, and the application is now ready for a vote.
Okay, we remember this is the Four Birds Only store, adding a second floor which matches the building just to its east and to the west. So we were waiting on Nassau County Planning Commission, that's why we didn't vote it during the application process. But at this point, we're ready to vote, so I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Motion.
Motion by trustee Clark, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Salosky. Mr. Rivera, please poll the board.
Trustee Clark.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sartori.
Yes.
Trustee Casado.
Yes.
Trustee Salosky.
Yes.
Mayor Ferrera.
Yes. Okay, motion is approved.
Thank you, Mayor. Similar to 176 Jericho, last month, the board heard an application at 143 Jericho Turnpike, which was to convert existing retail space on the first floor into 2 apartments. Nassau County Planning has also come back today and rendered a local determination, and the application is now ready to vote.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Motion.
Motion by trustee Casado, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by deputy mayor Sartori. Mr. Rivera, please poll the board.
Trustee Clark.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sartori.
Yes.
Trustee Casado.
Yes.
Trustee Salosky.
Yes.
Yes. Congratulations to both applicants. Anything else?
Thank you, Mayor. One other item. We've had an ongoing water infiltration problem at Harrison Avenue Garage. The village has not yet taken ownership of the structure from the MTA. I ask for approval tonight to retain Structure Care, who will do a report as to the cause of the water infiltration and possible cures. The amount of the proposal is $15,000, and I would recommend approval of that expenditure.
Okay, although we've occupied the Harrison Avenue Garage for quite a while now, for about 2 years, we technically don't own it yet, and it's a good thing that we don't own it, because when issues like this arise, we want to make sure that we are given a structure that is safe and that is clean and that it's, obviously waterproof to the largest extent that a parking garage can be. So by retaining this engineering firm, we will determine where the issues are, why the water is getting into the garage, and then obviously we will demand that the MTA rectify those before we take over complete ownership of the parking garage. And of course, the cost that Mr. Gibbons just mentioned, we will then try and also ask the MTA to cover that cost, because obviously we didn't build the garage, they built the garage, so the problem really lies with them, not us. And so I would ask that we approve this that we would approve this
Proposal.
proposal. And entertain a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Deputy Mayor Sartori, you have a second?
Second.
Second by Trustee Clark, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Anything else, Mr. Gibbons?
That's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Okay, now I would ask for a motion to go into executive session to discuss a personnel issue. Motion by Trustee Clark, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we'll be right out.